the beautiful thing about it is if you end up face-to-face with a networker, even if you're a Plexus ambassador and you're not really clear on the advantages of ours over theirs, and I'm hoping tonight will provide some of that clarity for you, but I will tell you, if they know comp plans, you can have faith that when you just present the Plexus one without worrying about comparing them, just present the Plexus, they're going to figure out the advantages. But let's just start by explaining that there's really 4 models in network marketing. When you sit with somebody and they're in network marketing, I'm going to take away the direct sales because direct sales is a little bit different, but in network marketing companies, the original compensation plan that was out there is called a breakaway plan, a stair-step breakaway. So a lot of the older companies are stair-step breakaways. There's also, then they created something called the unilevel. Now we're in a hybrid of a unilevel, but there was what they call the traditional unilevel. Then they decided to make it a little, what they said, simpler. Instead of having unlimited front line, they created something called a matrix. That was the third compensation plan. And then lastly, and the most popular now, is compensation plan where you have 2 legs, and we refer to that as a binary. Everything else is referred to as a hybrid. They're a hybrid of those 4 plans. Now, every comp plan has advantages and disadvantages, but they all work on the same premise. 50% of the revenue, on average, goes to the field, and 50% stays at the company. When you're talking to networkers, I'll just let you know why they like the binaries, which, by the way, I hate, and most people who want a fair comp plan company-wide would, if they're honest with you, they're going to tell you they don't like the binary. A lot of people like the binary until they've done them a little while. But what they like in the binary is that you're only building 2 teams. So in their mind, they think that's a lot simpler. In their mind, they think they only need 2 people, and that's how they sell it. The problem is that when you want to get any leadership ranks, you have to have a balance of leadership on your left leg and on your right leg. So for example, to be an emerald, they might say you need 2 golds on one leg and a gold and a silver on the other. So there's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of luck, because you can enroll 10 people, but all the good ones may end up on one leg, and then you're messed up because you only get paid in a binary on the volume of the lesser leg. So you could, in Plexus, you get paid on everybody in your 7 levels, and with compression, you're often getting paid on people on your 8th, your 9th, your 10th level. In a binary, you could very, very, very easily have 50,000 volume on one leg and 10,000 on the other, and you're only getting paid 10% of that 10,000, even though your organization has created 60,000. It's a very unfair plan for the average person because most of us don't build in balance. If you look at your organization, in all likelihood, you have 1 or 2 really strong people that produce a good percentage of your volume, and if they happen to be on the same leg, then you wouldn't get paid a thing on them, other than something called the matching bonus. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about matching bonus, and if your team begins to meet with network marketers, they're going to say, well, what's your matching bonus? And that's what stumps a lot of the Plexus people, because we don't have this thing called matching bonus. Let me assure you, it's much better to have what we have. Matching bonus means that, Michelle, if I enroll you and you get paid, just say on your residual, on your Plexus points, you earn $6,000 this month. If I personally enrolled you and I'm at a certain level, I could get up to half of what your residual is, or half of your commissions on your Plexus points. That all sounds wonderful. The reality is that you see it even in Plexus, a smaller percentage make it to Emerald and above. You've got a few more who might be Senior Ruby, and then you've got a little bit of a larger percentage that might be Ruby, but their matching bonus at, say, Ruby or Senior Gold is not very much at all. And so matching bonuses are incredibly good if you are a top performer. Now, here's the thing with Plexus. One of the questions you always want, I always say to my team, you have to ask yourself is the compensation designed to be fair for the average person? Well, if you look at this binary, which is the most popular one, it's designed for the network marketers, the top achievers. If you look at most companies, in fact, I always say to people, if you're sitting with a network marketer who's been with another company, ask them, in the time they've been in the company, have they seen the top producers change, or have they been exactly the same people for the time of period they've been in. And more often than not, the top income earners have been exactly the same people since the inception of the company. It never changes. It's like who gets in there first are the lucky ones. Well, we can see here in Plexus that we have our trailblazers who came in and did phenomenally. Then we had all these new people like you guys, all these people who came in a couple years later, and then they became top producers. We have people who never did network marketing like Celeste and Jen, and people who are producing incredible incomes, Sonia, incredible incomes, yet they came in a few years after our trailblazers did. And you know what? Some of the top income earners aren't even here yet. They might be on your team, they might be on my team, because in Plexus there's no advantage with who came in first and who came in next. In fact, there's probably an advantage for those of us coming in later because we've got the tools, we've got the stability, we've got the track record already here, so there's a lot more credibility. So, so the first question is the compensation plan fair? Well, in Plexus, we put, when the company takes a 50%, the majority of that 50% is put in the pay points. That's our residual. I can promise you, you'll never find another company that pays, we use 5 points on your first, second, third level, on average, you know, $2.75, $3, $3.25 a point. So I'm going to say 3 for easy math. That's $15 on a 100-point order, or 15% on your first, your second, your third level. There's not very many comp plans that would pay that kind of return, and then let's say 12% down on your fourth, 9% down on your third, based on a 100 PV order. That's pretty much unheard of to have that kind of amount, because most companies will put part of their 50%, a great part of their 50%, on bonuses that are only paid to the top achievers. Here at Plexus, they make everybody who's silver, gold, just coming into the business, they get to take part in that pool point. They take the majority of that 50%. So we can have people making reasonable checks, and they're only silvers, and they're gold, and they're senior gold. And most companies, that's just not the way it is, because they keep so much of the money for the people that are growing. Plexus, not only do they put a lot more of the money in the 50%, if you ask, I always say to everybody, if you meet anybody in another company, ask them a couple questions. One is, what would you get paid if you had 3 ambassadors? If you have 3 ambassadors, or 3 marketing executives, 3 distributors, whatever your language is, if you have 3 people doing 100 points, what would you be paid? That's the first question. 3 ambassadors, 3 business partners doing 100 PV, what would you be paid? Number 2, if you had 10 customers doing 100 PV, what would you be paid? I will promise you, and everybody listening, there isn't another company out there that pays as much money as Plexus does on just 3 ambassadors and 10 customers. There isn't another company. Because the company here at Plexus, they take so much of that 50% and they put it in what we call the residuals. The residuals are the income that you count on whether you're working or not. The residuals are the money you count on when you're not growing. That money's there next month. If you don't have new ambassadors and you don't have a lot of growth, you still have your residuals. In most companies, the residuals are much, much lower, so you have to be growing. You have to be bringing in new ambassadors because they put their money more on growth. We put a lot of our money on the residuals. We value the customers, customer service, keeping a good customer base, and even valuing our ambassadors who are not necessarily growing, but they're doing their monthly order and have a small team. So we really divide that a lot differently. So everybody asked the question, if you only had 3 ambassadors and they did 100 PV, what would you be paid? Well, here you would make about $45 on 3 people just doing their 100 points. 10 customers doing 100 points is about another $400. That's ridiculous money on a very, very, very small organization. So to answer the question about whether it's fair, there's no comparison with how we pay here. Does a company have a track record? And when we talk about track record and compensation plan, the question that a networker really wants to know is, has a comp plan changed a lot? Is this, when you're asking about a proven track record, how many times has your comp plan changed materialistically in the last few years? If you look at most companies, I can tell you with the company that I was with for 10 years, they could have changes 3 or 4 times in 1 year. They changed a lot. It was very disturbing. It was constantly changing. They were constantly trying to manipulate those numbers, change that 50% somehow. The thing that frustrates us the most at Plexus, I will tell you, is the biggest jewel that we have in Plexus. You see, that Plexus points that can change a little bit month to month, that protects the company from keeping their 50%, and it protects the field for getting their 50%. But it doesn't make, at no time will the company say we're going to, they call it creepage in network marketing. When the comp plan now is written, it's written to be, it's theoretical. We're going to pay 50%. Theoretically, we're going to pay 50%, a comp plan says. In the binary, for example, there's so much breakage. I'll give you an example. I said if somebody has 2 legs growing and one takes off and the other one doesn't grow, and this leg has 50,000 and this one only has 10, theoretically, the comp plan says we'll pay you 10% out of your volume, and theoretically, if your volume were equal, on that 50 and 10 is 60,000. If it was ideal, you'd have 30,000 on each leg, and we'll pay you 10% of the small leg, or 3,000. Theoretically, the comp plan supports that, but nobody builds that way. Typically, you'll have 50,000 on one leg, you'll have 10,000 on this leg. Now you're getting 10% of the small leg, so it's 10,000. 10% is $1,000. You've just been paid $1,000 on 60,000 volume. Who gets that money? The company gets that money. It rolls to the company. Plexus never has that scenario because you get paid on your whole organization. You know, the only thing that's going to vary is your pay points might be $280 instead of $3, or it might be $325 some months and down to $280 other months. That's all that changes, but you can still get paid on your whole group. And it's not that Plexus is keeping extra money, it's just a reflection of how many points are in the pool. This is a barometer that protects us. The company will never have to change. It's one of the most brilliant things that they did, because the biggest fear in network marketing, and if you start reading books or you talk to a lot of networkers, the only reason they left the company they were with is because the comp plan changed so much. There's been no material change in this comp plan. Nothing. The only thing they did was do this thing about the spouses, that you shouldn't bring your spouse in until you're gold. Heck, guys, most companies would never let you enroll your spouse, right? That's just not even allowed normally in network marketing. They created something because Alfred thought that was the best thing, and I was explaining to the both of you that I lost my husband this winter. How incredible is it for me that my husband passes away and I get to take his business to Emerald? I own his business. That's in our comp plan. They protect him even upon the death of a spouse. So I own that position. I can take it to Emerald. I can have a second Lexus in my husband's position because Plexus wanted the fairest comp plan that there is. So our track record is squeaky clean. We've made no material changes to our comp plan, and very, very, very few network marketing companies that have been in business this long can say that. Very few, almost none. I can tell you another company that I worked with before I came here, and I've been collecting a residual off that. I haven't done a thing in that company for 5 years. They're about to make a huge comp plan change that's going to affect almost every single leader in that company. So when you ask, so a question that I always say to people is, ask them how the comp plan is weighted. Ours is weighted equally, whether you're a senior gold, a gold, or all the way to Emerald. Our Plexus points pay exactly the same amount to a brand new person as they pay to us. They pay me the same amount as a customer as an Emerald as they do my person who's a silver bringing in customers. They've balanced this out, where in a lot of comp plans, you get more commissions on your customers, you get more commissions on your ambassadors if you're a higher level. Not at Plexus. When you're a silver, you're paid exactly the same amount on your business as you are when you're an Emerald. What changes is that we do get this extra pool, which, by the way, a lot of companies give you a pool only when you grow. They'll say, when you're in growth, you get to take out of this Emerald pool. But if you're not in growth, you don't take out that month. So there's incredible pressure to be growing every month, because if some month you go backwards a little bit, you would lose your pool. Well, here in Plexus, just for being an Emerald, you're guaranteed that pool every month. You go to Sapphire, you get your Emerald pool, and then you get your Sapphire pool. You go to Diamond, you get your Emerald pool, your Sapphire pool, and your Diamond pool. That's unheard of. Usually you get the next pool, but you drop the one below. Even if the next one might be a little bit less than the one below, you drop the one below. That doesn't happen here. So Plexus has I remember when I looked at this, the day I called Alfred in September 2012, I gave him a call, and we had chatted a couple years before, and he'd wondered if I was interested in looking at Plexus, and I honestly did not believe that company would last. I just could not imagine that this company was going to last. And because so few do, and that's another thing. When you look at a brand new company, you've got to know the chances of them being around in 12 or 24 months is not great. But you had the brilliance of Alfred, who was this guy in the field that everybody went to. He was our go-to guy. He wasn't even in my team, not above me, not below me. He was sidelining me. But if I had an issue, I would go to Alfred, because Alfred would take it to corporate. He would get things done. Alfred was out for everybody, whether they were in his team or not. Then you have Taro, the calm, quiet, the money guy, the guy that is going to protect the company. It was a perfect marriage, those guys coming together and building this business. And I remember the day in September 2012 when I called Alfred. And for those of you that are listening, I'm very transparent. I didn't come here for the products. If a company's been around as many years as Plexus, they've got incredible products, or they wouldn't be here. So I knew the products worked. They were doing $2 million a month in September 2012 when I looked at it. They went from and they had 14 emeralds. September 2012, when I came in, there were 14 emeralds. They were all within 3.5 hours of Biloxi, Mississippi. I was over the moon. No networkers were here. That means there were no games being played. Plexus was really clear. They weren't doing the network marketing stuff that was going on out there. They weren't paying networkers to come in. They weren't paying them all to come into fly-ins to take a look at it. There weren't these deals going on, because they knew that what they had was magical, and eventually it was going to take off. Well, of course, 2 years later, at $30 million a month and 200 emeralds and above, the company grew like crazy. But I remember in September 2012, I said to Alfred, don't talk to me about the products. I'll do my own investigation on the products. I want to know the comp plan inside out. I want to know the numbers. And that night, I went to bed thinking, I can't believe that there's a company that I had a list of things, and just so your team knows, in March 2011, I was really fortunate to evaluate 8 companies in 8 cities in 7 states in 8 days, meet with the owners and with the top income earners. And we had some questions we were asking them. One of them was, if you could change anything in your comp plan, what would it be? What's the biggest obstacle in your comp plan? And we were collecting this data, and we were traveling with a comp plan engineer. And we were literally flying from Port St. Lucie, Florida, all the way to Sacramento, California in 8 days. It was a busy schedule, but I came out of that really clear on the things that I wanted. One of them was, I didn't want front end. I didn't want a company that said you have to spend $500, $1,000, $1,500 to get in. Most new companies today, if you guys have not been around network marketers, this might be new to some of your team, but if you talk to most team members, most networkers out there, not only do they have to front end load $500, $1,000, $1,500 worth of product, if they don't come in with that large product pack, they don't get all the advantages of the comp plan. It's written off from them as soon as they start. They're at a disadvantage. Plexus says buy a $99 pack, $199 pack. Heck, you don't even have to buy a pack. You don't even have to buy product. I would never say that to anybody to do that. We want people to be product of the product. But as long as they have 100 PV go through their account, they're going to be paid. That's very rare in network marketing, where the company says, we're not going to force you to buy product. We're just telling you have to have this volume go through. And it gets even better than that. You know, the company says, we're not going to force you to buy product. We're not going to force you to get a backup order that you don't want to get, because if you have your 100 PV go through there, you're going to get paid. I have a young guy who does online stuff with his business. He does online marketing with Plexus. He only bought product 1 month. He's 25 years old. He gets paid every single month and has gotten paid every single month for about 16, 17 months now, because Plexus says, we're going to pay you to market our products. We'd like you to be a consumer. We'd really like you to be a consumer, but we're not going to force you to be a consumer here. So $199 pack, $99 pack, put a selection of products together. Don't buy any at all. It doesn't matter. When you sign an ambassador agreement, you've got the full advantage of the comp plan. So they're not trying to get any gotchas or any tricks along the way. That was something that I loved. I want to just make sure I have. Oh, one of the things I wanted to say that I think is so important, and it's not so important for the person who's just coming in, but for the person who's coming in and they're looking long term and they're looking about being emerald. In every comp plan, binary, matrix, stair-step breakaway, unilevel plans, and every other comp plan I've looked at, It's impossible to get to the top ranks without developing personal leadership. You do not reach ranks until you've met a quota of personal leadership. So an emerald, they might say you have to have 2 golds. You can have all the volume, you could have 5,000 volume, but if you don't have 2 personal golds, you're not an emerald yet. If you have 2 golds, you become an emerald, but if you lose a gold, personal gold, you lose your emerald, or you lose your car allowance. That is in almost every single comp plan out there. There's a built-in requirement to build personal leadership. When I looked at Plexus, I was blown away when Alfred said, "Oh, Natalie, let me tell you a little part you're going to love. You don't have to develop any personal leadership. You could go all the way to diamond and not have anybody but silvers." And I didn't make any sense to me. And he said, "Natalie, it's strictly volume based. When you're a gold when you have 100 points, you're a senior gold when you have 250 points, you're a ruby when you have 500. You get 1,500, you're an emerald. We don't care where it comes from. You could just have a bunch of silvers. You might not really have any silvers. Maybe all of the leadership is on your 2nd and 3rd levels, but they produce the volume for you." Those gotchas or those loopholes is what keeps the company keeping a lot of the money that really belongs to us. Most companies have that. Or, you look at companies like Arbonne, where they reach a certain level and then they break away from them, and the income that they get from that team that they developed all the way up to area manager drops to almost nothing. That's called a breakaway. That's what Alfred and I worked with. You work really hard to get somebody to a certain level, and then your income goes from 10 or 15% off their organization down to 5% because they broke away from you. Or they surpass you in a lot of companies, and they take them away from you. If you don't stay one step ahead of the people you enrolled, you lose them. Every single gotcha that almost every single company they have out there, almost every single gotcha that's out there, Plexus doesn't have. They say you don't have to place an order, you just have to have 100 PV go through there. As soon as you have 3 enrolled, you're getting paid 5 levels. That's crazy, 5 levels, 3 people. Basically, your business could grow for the next months, and you're going to get paid basically on your whole organization just for getting 3. The company says you can enroll your spouse. You can build 2 organizations and 2 incomes in your household. That's very, very rare. And then they say, "Oh, by the way, you don't have to create any leadership." It's nice if you do. I mean, it's easier for us. If we can enroll some leaders, it makes our job a lot easier. But what I love is there's all these non-networkers that have come in here, and what I think is working is the enthusiasm, more than the knowledge, more than understanding what network marketing is about. They don't even understand in most cases what's incredible about our comp plan, but it doesn't matter because their enthusiasm is what builds a business. But I'm going to tell you, in most network marketing companies, you could have the same amount of enthusiasm with equally good products, and there's no way most of the people that are emerald and above in this company would be in leadership ranks in these other companies because it's far too complicated. There's too much to manipulate. You spend all of your time trying to figure out how to get the volume in the right place because this leg is growing too much and I'm not getting paid because this person over here isn't working. I got to get over here. I got to get this gold to ruby. If I don't get her to ruby, I can't get to my next level even though I have a volume. That is always the way it is in network marketing. It is the most peaceful comp plan I've ever looked at. When I look at these people leaving, I'm thinking, you guys are insane. We have a completely peaceful comp plan because you don't have to manipulate anything. You just go out and share the product. Wherever people are growing in your business, you go work with them. Doesn't matter where it is because it makes no difference because you're just volume-based. All you're looking for is for your volume to go up to 1,500, to go up to 3,000, to go up to 5,000. You're just going to work wherever the work is working. Wherever the people are working, that's where you're going to go. So I'm just going to make sure. A lot of people, when you meet with them, they want to talk to you about the bonuses. You know what I say to people? We don't worry about our bonuses. Yeah, we have these one-time and we have these fast-track bonuses, but we put all our money in residual. We don't have to worry about our bonuses. We pay people a lot of money every single month to be here. They need the bonuses because they're residuals. I'll give you a real quick example, and I know I'm gone over time. I just looked at the time. I so apologize. I'm going to stop right now, but I'm going to tell you. The company I spent 10 years with paid 7% on 7 levels, and your customers were in the matrix. 7%, but here's the big thing. $100 of product was about 40 to 50 PV. Here, $100 is 80, 90 PV. There it was 40 to 50, and then they got 7%. So they needed bonuses. Their residuals were crap. They're not making any money. The company here says you don't have to rely on bonuses. We're paying you every month in our Plexus points. That's our residual. We're putting the money in the residual. So when I was at the first convention last year in 2013, and Alfred had everybody stand up at the convention who was making $500 or more, and you saw almost the whole room stand up, you would see that in no other company. I promise you, in no other company would you have a room full of people making $500 or more a month. In a company where just 10 customers you can make $500 is unheard of, even in direct sales, and they're known to pay a lot of money for their customers because that's what they're all about. So, I don't know how helpful that was, except to say to you guys, you got to be confident. For somebody like me who's traveled across the United States evaluating comp plans, there isn't another one. And I say to anybody, if you can find any company that will pay you what they pay us, 3 ambassadors, 10 customers, ask anybody, and then just look at how many people we have Emerald and above with a car. We have more people earning $10,000 or more in their household than most multi-billion-dollar network marketing companies. They're jealous of what we have. Now we don't have the same number of people making $100,000 a month as some companies do. We just have a whole lot of people making 10 and 15 and 20 and 30,000, and that's why I came here, because I don't care about 3 people making 100,000 or 10 people who make $100,000 a month. I want hundreds of people making 10 and 15 and 20 and 30,000, because that's a good life. And that's all we need. And anybody can come here in Plexus who's got no experience and do that. It's already been proven, because there's already, I don't know, close to 200 people who've never done network marketing, and they're blowing me away just because of their enthusiasm and products that work and a comp plan that makes it easy for them to build. I'm done, I promise, and I'm going to mute myself.
Natalie.
Hey, you nailed it there at the end. I mean, the whole thing. But, I mean, what you said right there is totally us. We had no prior experience in network marketing other than like a brief 3-day stint in one company. I mean, the whole thing used to confuse, like you said. It was just so confusing to me. And Plexus has been so simple. But the reality is that there's so much potential for so many people to make good money, a really good living, that totally makes the difference. And just like you said, for 10 people, I was actually just talking to one of my ambassadors today, and his wife has like 9 or 10 customers, and her check was about $500. Between the two of them, they made $500 on about 10 customers. I mean, just like you said, exactly what you said. That's how much money they were making. I was just like, this is for real. Anybody can do this. So, yeah. I mean, there's so much that you said there. I hope people were taking notes, because this was a very educational call, and we are so appreciative. Michelle has.
No, I took a lot of notes, but mostly I just thank you for validating everything that we go out there and work towards, because you really set it up perfectly for us to be able to share this with people that were trying to open their eyes to really the possibility. We're not trying to scam anyone. This is not, it's literally $35 a year, and you have the opportunity to have your own business, an internet business, no inventory, no parties. There's no tricks to this. And when we go out there and talk to networkers like you, and they just tell us they totally get it. So anyways, just thank you for that. This has just been amazing. I have taken a lot of notes. I love the questions that you gave us to ask people. Just break it down. If you have 3 people doing 100 PV, what would you be paid? I mean, just simple questions like that. I think that gives us tools to help when we're talking to people. It makes us a little bit more just educated. So, Natalie, you're amazing. I can't wait to see you this week in Orlando, and everyone else out there on my Rock the Pink team that's going to Orlando too, and everyone that's not. Be watching for pictures and see yourself there next year, because you really should be dreaming big, because this whole world is open to you with Plexus. I saw a leadership page that showed how many jewels per state. If you think we have 50 states, there's 200 jewels, and most states have like lots of jewels, and then there's other states with no jewels. There is like West Virginia. We're working in West Virginia. Their highest person in West Virginia is a gold ambassador, and she's on my team. There's no one there working the business, and so it's just making me crazy. Plexus
Except for she is.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
She just started.
I'm just saying it's open to the masses. Katie, I love you. Anyways, you guys go out there and make it work this week. I'm so proud of all of you, and just continue to rock the pink. Have a good night.
Good night.